Trying to see if this is working. Ah. Trying to see if this is working. Sweet. Alright. Hey guys, you are too loud, Carter. Carter, you are too loud.
Don't point guns at people.
Hey guys, can you go play in the other room, please?
He might want to play on my computer.
Please, I need it to be quiet, okay? Alright, I'm gonna make sure. I already made sure people can hear me. Alright. I was, earlier I was working on, trying to remember. So, here, if anybody happens to be watching yet, I was, earlier I showed some human anatomy and proportion and how to draw them, and then I went to, decided I would draw my two OCs, cat and a wolf, together, back to back, you know, folding arms, kind of friends kind of thing, maybe. But anyway, I showed how to pick out specific shapes in a cat, and then I drew my cat persona, and now I'm getting ready to draw a maximum, and first I'm gonna start off with, like I did with the cat, picking out specific shapes that I can see in, say, facial proportion or muscular proportion or whatever, because that is how I learn how to draw stuff. So, got this wolf here. Started out with this kind of ovally blob shaped thing with kind of somewhat points down over here and here, but not really points. Just make sure you know that this is the side, that's one side, and the bottom and top and whatnot. Okay, so there are those circles that I use because, specifically because of canine proportion, and I use that on all living things now because it's really helpful to decide where I want the eyebrows to work. Alright, let's see. Gonna come into the muzzle. Unlike cats, wolves have fairly elongated muzzles, and it's kind of harder to see the individual shapes. But here, I'm gonna try and pick out some. But like I said earlier, the best way to draw humanoid animals or whatever animal characters, the best way to do it is look them up. Try to get real reference. And some might say, well, it's cartoony, it's not supposed to be realistic. Well, I say, actually, I learned from an older, well, not an old, but a friend on Fur Affinity who told me to specifically study real animal proportion before you did your cartoons. And I was thinking, but what if I want to do it cartoony? If you just do cartoony, it's gonna stray so much from the real thing that people aren't gonna realize it's what you drew. They're not gonna be able to recognize it. They'll say, oh, that looks cool, but I can't tell what it is. So, and there's really a beauty in the original nature of different creatures, and I think capturing that, trying to base it off of that, is really valuable. So, that's what I do. Here are the cheek ruffs. I'm gonna start coming out and shaping them. So now I've got that and the basic kind of shape of the wolf. Maybe this little line here to show that. Sometimes I like to put a line down the middle. I don't know why, but I do. I tend to like doing that to show kind of with vertebrate creatures. It kind of helps because there's this one line that goes down the mane, along the back, into the tail, like the spine. So sometimes I like that, and it helps me form what I'm trying to draw. So, wolves. Very, very furry animals. Have a lot of fur, specifically to help in winter times. So, wolves tend to have really, really large manes and super furry bodies. Shaggy wolf. So, I'm gonna try and draw that mane just for kicks. For now. Try and form where you think the neck kind of, I guess, kind of starts. Like right there. And starts forming into the, say, chest area and the other leg areas and the back. And whatnot. Okay, so, back to the face. So, looking at this fan-shaped thing right here, do keep in mind, although I'm putting all these shapes here, usually on a real wolf, they look pretty smooth. On some other creatures, you can kind of see the shapes, but it's harder to form the different shapes that go into something like this because the wolf muzzle is pretty smooth. I'm trying to do this right. Ugh. So now I'll start on the eyes, and so this fan shape, it doesn't, the way that I've drawn it, it doesn't quite lead up straight to this point, but if you draw a line across the kind of flow of the eye, you can see that it's right here. So, and I like to connect it kind of. So, come in here. You got some pretty round circular eyes. Actually kind of small compared to the rest of their face. At least, of course, the way that I draw any animal, the eyes are cartoony. They're bigger than the real creature. Size. So here. So we've got these pupils inside there, and you can kind of noticed interesting. Wolf's eyes are pretty interesting. Wow, that is a big eraser. I don't need it that big. Me. Alright, so like I said earlier, I keep this little section right here because a lot of animals tend to animal eyes tend to show that a lot more. And with the wolf, their eyes kind of go in this thing here, and then they kind of curve like this and that, and their eyeballs are kind of like that. While their inner pupil, keep in mind that's the inner pupil right there. This is the iris out here, so you don't really see the whites unless they're looking to the side. You can see that in some dogs, but out here you have the end of the eye. I've noticed they've always got this little end and it gives the wolf a kind of unique feel. Almost a kind of wise feel, almost. Well, hearing it from a wolf lover, you're gonna get praise, but hey, I love wolf eyes. They're beautiful. So I just had to draw that. So just come in here, maybe leave a little space for a highlight, just cause. And we've got the kind of general shape of our wolf head here. Let's put this back on. Alright, now we come out here and we can see the pretty shaggy, rough coat of fur rest of the body. And unlike the cat, the wolf has some pretty curvy paws and not quite squares like I'd shown in the other video. But so we've got this. So get curvy and make the claws a lot bigger than a cat's claws. Cat's claws are more curvy and they can retract. Cat's claws are retractables. And wolves, most canine claws, all canine claws that I know of, are not retractable. So, which means that they cannot recede back into the paw. Whereas cats like to retract their claws, say on the sofa and whatnot, and they tear it up. But whatever. Come and try and draw the general form. I put joints where I think joints should be, where I think they are. Right there. And like the cat and most quadrupedal animals, people like to just draw, say, hey, that's an arm right there, and put a bone there, and bone there. Or sometimes maybe they don't even use that. But, like I said with the cat, they've got a joint here. Right here. And what's right here? Like I said with the cat, I've got this big, thick, wide bone right there. For humans, that is our shoulder blade. For them, that would be their shoulder blade, but it's a lot bigger in comparison to their body, and they use it a lot more for support on the front paws. So keep that in mind. It's not just one bone. It's actually kind of a diagonal angle there. But this point right here, this joint, usually comes level with the bottom point of the chest. Now this is a pretty shaggy wolf, so it's got a lot of fur hanging down, but if you could imagine where the chest was, try and put the joint similarly somewhere along that line. That's what's helped me with wolves. Alright, let's get some more body proportion in there. Hang on a second. Alright, so we got these paws, front paws. We call them tablet. There we go. Alright, so, and then here we've got more curves. Like I said earlier, wolf paws are pretty curvy. I've got curvy pads, they've got, and then this little part back here. I've noticed when I try to draw digitigrade creatures or anything with legs similar to this structure, I've noticed I used to draw them just like this, with just the paws there. Although cats may be able to do that. Creatures, well, although household cats at least may be able to do that. Creatures with a lot more mass and need a lot more traction. I've noticed they have this little section back here under the paws. It's the main paw pad, like you may have seen before. Say just a general paw pad structure. Not really a structure. There's a paw pad or a paw print. I used to draw paws as if this thing was gone. Now that I'm realizing this thing is here, I mean, you can't see it as much, but when you're trying to draw things from the side, I try to get this kind of flat build so that their paws can get a firm, kind of a firm feel for the ground. Whereas here, it looks like it's just their toes, and that does not look very firm at all. So I've tried to keep that in mind lately. Alright, let's draw the claws. Alright, and then joint, joint, and see here we have joint, joint, joint. Whereas here we have joint, joint, and joint. See the difference? The front paws tend to have their, say, elbow way up here, and then the back legs tend to have that same joint way back here. So for the front paws, or the front legs, this would be the knee, and for the back legs, this would be the knee. So keep that in mind when you're trying to set up a wolf structure. And quite a few other quadrupedal animals. Horses are interesting though. So we got this. Got the other paw back here. Kind of coming this way. This tendon you can kind of see bulging out, and then of course the hip bone is kind of like, I forget how it's formed, but anyway, it's got a joint right there. Human hip bones are quite a lot larger than than some animal hip bones. Animal hip bones are, or human hip bones, well, they're wider. Animal hip bones tend to be longer, kind of like that, whereas human hip bones are kind of more compact and together. See, if you can't, oh well. Sorry, I don't know how to explain that better, but that's something I've noticed. All right. Here, try and kind of form the shapes and the tail. Now, wolf tails. Wolf tails, wolf tails. Draw a line, try and keep it kind of like this. That's hard to explain how to draw a tail, honestly. So I guess just watch for now. So let that shag come out. But yeah, in the end, looks like it's got this fur pattern with a black tip there. It's probably some forest dwelling wolf. Adds in winter or cold climate. Because of fur patterns. Alright. Wow, this stomach underbelly line is way up here. Looks like all the fur and the shag are coming this way. But anyway, so now that we've got all those shapes in and set, come and look at it. Wow. You don't have the picture there. I'm gonna take out this. Meh, I don't need it anymore. I don't think I ever needed it though. So you've got the basic shape of a wolf there, and you notice it's got a pretty sturdy build. Heavy, very shaggy build. And then when you draw the animals in their feral form, keep in mind that you want to retain some of that general feel of what they're like for trying to turn them anthro. So now that we have that, I'm going to save, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to draw maximum. Whew, finally. Alright. So I've got some pictures here for reference, although I kind of got a memorized idea. And, you know, hey, guys, remember? I said please play in the other room. Maximum, I've known him for a long time. He's been my main character for a long time, and so I've developed him quite a lot, and I know him pretty well, and I've tried to put every mature, generous, all the best qualities in a person. I've tried to put them into him. So in a way, I kind of look up to him, and I kind of think, well, what would he do in this situation? Yes, that's me. I look up to characters I created. So let's create a big kind of squarish thing. Like I said, I may have said earlier. I don't remember if I did or not now. But when I draw my characters, I usually put this big square to kind of set the general area of where they are, and then another square that's in perspective for the ground that they stand on. Alright. Yeah, paying too much attention to the ground. I'm gonna make my eraser bigger. Excuse me. Alright, it's gonna be interesting. He's got a pretty complicated form, and it's hard to get just right. So I may be doing a lot of erasing. Like I've said before, I do a ton of erasing. And I think any artist that doesn't is a master. So honestly, the best way to do art is make mistakes and learn from them every single second of the day. Or of the way through or whatever. So, got this place where I want him to be. So, let's see, what do I want to draw him as? Alright, let's do this. So, set in where I think the feet paws should be. And start on these, remember, kind of curvy foot paws. Meh, that didn't work right. But we've got this. Remember, these are the back paws. So we want this section to be kind of closer to the ground, whereas this is my knee. Alright, so it's probably going to take a while. I get really picky when I draw maximum. Really picky. Wish I could play music. The last time I played music, YouTube got after me for copyright stuff, and I want to stray from that as much as possible. Alright. Maximum. Pure-hearted, brave soul. Loves, and values the abilities of small children. And yet, he socializes easily, very easily, with other creatures of similar age to him. Always pretty much the most moral one in the group, of any group. He does not like to inflict pain. He does not find enjoyment in fighting. Yet, if he knows he must, he will, without hesitation. Let's see. Very, very selfless soul. Yet enjoys life. In fact, enjoys it because he's selfless. Seeing other people happy makes him know that he's done his job. Ugh, this is hard. I get so picky when I draw marks. That's why I don't draw him like every second of the day. Werewolf. tends to like being mysterious. He doesn't like attention. Unless it's for someone else, of course. Because, say his friend is like at a play or something, and his friend wants him to join him up on the stage or something, he'll go out there for the sake of his friend. But he loves making people happy. Because he knows, well, in his view, the selfless one is the happiest. That's his philosophy. So, he enjoys what he can out of life, and tries to make the best of what he can. For him and others. Let's see. Let's come up with this spine and this kind of hip structure. By the way, I recommend that if you're trying to see similarities between humans and animals, I may have said this before, but the best thing is to look at bone structures. Look at the similarities between human and animal bone structures, and once you find that similarity, you know where to place the bones of your new created creature, and that's what helps. That's what helps me, at least. This is actually turning out pretty good as far as proportion goes. It feels so awkward without music. But I'm really afraid YouTube's gonna come after me with copyright violations and whatnot. I think it'd be fun to try and compose some of my own music. I do terrible, but I think it'd be fun. Let's see. So, Maximum, he has a pretty thick neck. And because he's a wolf, he has a pretty large mane as well. So I tend to show that. So over here, you can see his mane coming out here, whereas his face kind of comes right there. Alright, back to work. Let's see, what else? What else? I'm missing the arms and the head. What am I saying? What else? So, I've always thought it was really interesting and kind of difficult to transform from feral to anthro and try to make the forelimbs like humanoid limbs, like humanoid arms and hands, but over here they're legs. So I look at the structure of these, and I kind of say our shoulder blades are about right there on our back, and I kind of try to shift it over so that we've got this joint on the end here, like this one, and then wait a sec. Actually, no, not right there. Bring it over here. And on the end there, I try to form the elbow and stuff from that. So I tried to make it at least somewhat more Joe Max's belly button, because it helps me get the elbows right. But it tries to, it gives them a little more feral feel and yet keep it anthro at the same time, which I love. muscles and proportion around that. He's got a pretty bold. So I drew his foot paws farther apart, and he's got this kind of ready stance. He's knows what he's doing, pretty bold in his actions, but he, you know, he knows exactly where he wants to go in life. Pretty adventurous and pretty physically fit too. All for the sake of other people. So let's get this. I'll draw the hands later. Ugh. With the cat, with Jeff, I put the hands in the pockets. Here, I'm not going to, because Maximum is not that kind of guy. Knows what he wants in life. Not lazy at all. Pretty extroverted, actually. Got a pretty strong stance here, at least attempting. So, I'm kind of liking this model. This proportion. This build for Maximum. And kind of shape that so we got the general feel of this curving arm. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. But anyway. So we've got this of his front side there. Alright, let's see. You know what? I need a break for a second. Let me stand up and stretch and whatnot. Alright, I'm back. So, just come in. It's kind of nice to stand up and stretch a bit, because when you come back, you realize that you see edits on things that you didn't quite see before. So that's always a good thing when you're drawing and you've been drawing too long. Stand up, stretch, get up, move around, and then when you come back, see what edits you have then. Yeah. Working with these shoulders, I've never been sure what to do because it gets really interesting trying to work with this. I try to relate it to this, but it never really looks right. Alright. Ooh, 3 watching. Cool. So let's form the basic shape of the wolf head over here. Like I said with Jeff, you want to make sure that you constantly, when you're drawing the head, you want to make sure you constantly look at the whole body in comparison to the head to make sure it looks right in proportion. This head is going to be fun. Let's do this. Alright, the basic neck structure under all that fur would be kind of like that. Make sure that looks right. Alright, okay. Over here, let's make sure we're doing this right. Now, this face, this head is going to be really interesting because, as you might know, Maximum, he has a specific look to him. I've tried to develop him that way, draw him enough that I could give him a specific look. Where post it on DeviantArt or whatever, and you say, hey, that's Maximum. So, kind of got that idea in mind. While I do, I'm gonna try and start drawing the nose. Placing the nose is always really hard for long-muzzled creatures. Let's hope that works. I'm gonna start forming shapes around it and try to bring it home to all the other basic shapes that I have in place. This is going to be really interesting because I am going to erase a 3,005 million times, honestly, because Max has a specific look about him and I want to get that right. And the more I do get that right, the better I am, the easier it comes. Bleh. Go look at him. Meh. Yeah. Make sure I'm doing this. Get the general idea. Nah. Someone's at the door. Oh. It's hard. Meh. See, drawing Maximum, that's when that's what's hard for me, because in my imagination I have to get him just right, and I never have got him just right. I've got him pretty close though. nose bridge coming in. Now with the wolf, the space between the nose bridge and the eyebrows is short, but for the sake of anthropomorphization, I'm gonna make it a little bit longer. See if I can get these basic shapes just right. Look at the wolf ears. Alright. If you notice, wolf ears are a little closer in on the head than cat ears, whereas cat ears would probably be way out here in comparison to that head structure. Nope. Nope. No. Stop. Stop. There we go. So, let's get more into this. So, got this nose, the fan shape, and a little ways off, remember from the wolf it wasn't right on point, a little ways off you have your eye point, main eye point. Now the eyes are the hardest parts on Max's face, because I try so hard to get his eyes just right, because the eyes really kind of determine kind of the general character. The eyes are the window to the soul. Alright, let's get a good feel of where the ears are going to be. They're closer in on the head. Here, let's get the basic structure where the cheek really is. Kind of right there. Whereas the cheek ruffs kind of come out like this. Something like that. And let's get the ears. Yeah. Alright. It's looking kind of cool. After this, I gotta zoom out and make sure it's proportional. That works. I'm gonna have to do some edits, but that works for the basic kind of placement of the head. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work with it a bit. pretty strong facial build. Pretty iconic, recognizable, at least in my mind. I hope. Hey, Carter. Yeah, this is hard. The eyes are the hardest part.
That's plastic. I'm blocking. That hurts. I'm blocking. That's plastic. I don't want you to hit me with it. I'm not.
I'm gonna give him this kind of gentle, bright, friendly face. This generous, cool kind of guy. One guy you'd feel comfortable around. His eyes are so hard. To get just right. I haven't even drawn in pupils yet. Ooh, that eye looks good. Let's see if I can get this eye right. By the way, if anybody knows what Ori and the Blind Forest is, music is amazing. See if I can get this right. Does that work? Does that work? Maybe, 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 maybe not. Maybe, maybe. I can work with it. Works for now. I can go in and change it around. Another thing about Maximum is his eyebrows. Actually, he always has this strong, bold eyebrows. They're kind of thick too. Kind of seem weird for a character that I use so much, but it actually works for him. Let's make him smile. Come here. Do this kind of. Yeah, it didn't work out right. Get that kind of fuzz on the muzzle. Now, if animals had mustaches, it's these whisker marks. That's how to do it. At least that's how I do it. He doesn't quite have a mustache, but he doesn't bother to keep him so, like, super shaped and everything. I mean, if it gets too much, but still. How would say animals shave? I wouldn't recommend shaving fur. Unless it's like super hot. Maybe. I don't know. His eye over here. I'm gonna change that.
Carter created his own Steam account? No, I was not aware of that.
Whoa, that eraser is too big.
Well, Carter, you don't get your own. I'm not allowed to play.
Take 10 minutes, guys. I've been trying.
And Max has specific fur patterns on his face that makes him pretty recognizable
Is
too.
that okay now? Let's play a little. I only want to see it.
Now, big dilemma with me, for me, a lot lately, is trying to decide whether Max should have humanoid hair or not. Because sometimes I like this kind of thing coming out here. This kind of white hair tuft up here. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. So I'm really not sure what to do. Let's look at the whole thing. Ugh. Ugh, that looks weird. I'll keep that tuft of fur there on top of his head for now. Getting a lot closer. Alright, let's do this. Something looks weird. Something. I'm thinking it's the shoulders. The legendary misfitting shoulders. Or whatever else fits. decide what to do with these shoulders. His face doesn't look right. Grr. See if we can do this right. That's looking better. That's starting to look nice. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's see. Someone just knocked. In a second.
I have to go outside with Nikki.
Alright, I'm back. Now that I step back in, it doesn't look right. This is hard. Drawing him is always hard. No. I'm streaming right now. Oh, I may need to get off soon, so I'll be streaming again at 5 later today. Right now, where I am, it is 3:03. That's looking about right. Hey, Shadow, where are you out? Looks about right, sort of. Yeah, I need to change the portion around him. Let's see. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to get off soon. The belt line, at least how what I call it. This neck does not look right. It's too thick.
Dad, I'm hungry.
You want a sandwich?
Maybe something like that. Alright. That's starting to look right as far as proportion goes. Just drawing his hands.
Still streaming.
Yeah, that's starting to look right. Alright. It's looking about right. I am going to stop the stream. Thanks for watching. I'll be streaming this again. Ugh, does not look right. I'll be streaming this again at 5 o'clock. And it is 3:09 here right now. So, logging off. If it'll actually respond.